Today, in a world drowning in noise, where everyone has an opinion about everything, where strangers feel entitled to your life, there is a forgotten wisdom rising again. A wisdom sharp enough to cut through the chaos, yet modern enough to save your sanity today. Stay in your lane and learn to be okay with that. Mind your business, because if it does not concern you, then it does not concern you. This is not weakness. This is discipline. This is maturity. This is self-respect.
I'm afraid to go crazy, man. That's why I humble myself. I stay in my lane, people. I stay in my financial lane. Now, let me explain what I mean when I say this, okay? Here's what I mean when I say financial lane. Here's what happens. You start to make money. When you make money, you meet other people to make money. When you meet other people to make money, you want to hang out with these people. But naturally, you want to spend money the way they spend money, but then you realize that you don't make the same type of money that these fucking people make, okay? It's very true. That's why you got to stay in your lane.
Yes, this was meant to be a comedy skit. But let us be honest, there is real truth in it. What exactly do you gain from comparing your finances or your achievements to someone else's? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Humility and refusing to compare yourself to others is actually the beginning of happiness. Freedom begins the moment you stop worrying about things beyond your control. Your lane is what you control. Everything else, every rumor, every opinion, every distraction is noise.
One of the things that I often say is, we live in this pressured society. It's social media, everything is social media driven.
Yes.
However, what's really important is that you have to understand everybody has something going on.
You're right.
Everybody's doing something. However, at the end of the day, what I've learned to is just let me stay right here in my lane.
That's right.
Because this ain't my lane over here.
Yeah. And that's hard.
Do you know your lane? Because I know my
hard.
lane.
Oh, absolutely.
And the reason why the pressure is through the roof is you too busy trying to jump in my lane.
That's right.
And now you're feeling inadequate because you had no business jumping over there. Ain't nobody told you to jump over there. That's the big issue is you see they have a desire to do what this other person is doing. They want to be that person that we just talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. Being your true, authentic self. That is when you win.
In our world today, we live in a world where everyone thinks they belong everywhere. Social media turned life into a highway with no boundaries. No lanes. No lines. No limits. People swerving into lanes they do not understand. People crashing into lives they do not live. People judging choices they have never faced. People fighting battles that were never theirs.
If you think about driving a car, if you drift out of your lane, you're likely to get in a wreck or cause a wreck. And our lives are the same way. We need to know what our lane is and get in it and stay in it. And when you find out what your sweet spot is or what it is that you're supposed to be doing, what you're gifted for and talented for, the devil will use any number of ways to try to get you out of it. And one of the things that happens is we begin to compare ourselves with other people, and maybe we're not doing what they're doing, and maybe it looks like what they're doing is more important or it's better than what we're doing, and so we fall into the trap. And I think everybody probably does this at least once in their life. For some people, it's a lifetime.
An African proverb warns, the person who pokes their nose into every pot will burn their face. Yet here we are, scrolling, judging, intruding, reacting. Every day, every hour, every minute. We have become a generation addicted to other people's business. A generation that confuses curiosity with entitlement. A generation that thinks opinions are passports into other people's lives. But hear me clearly. Your opinion is not a visa and your feelings are not a permission slip. Stay in your lane. Keep your attention focused entirely on what is truly your own concern, and be brutally clear what belongs to others is their business, and none of yours. When you mind your own business, life becomes lighter. You stop competing. You stop drowning in battles that were never yours. You stop carrying burdens that were never meant for you. If you are slow, you are slow. If you are energetic, you are energetic. Your pace is your pace. Your journey is your journey. The flower does not think of competing with the flower next to it. It just blooms, not in someone else's garden, not in someone else's shadow, not in someone else's timeline. Your lane is your season. Your lane is your destiny.
So I want to encourage you to stay in your lane. If there's something that you are working on right now, whether it's a business idea, a passion, whether it's your career, whether it's your side hustle, I want you to just be patient. Just pause for the cause. And just trust your idea just a little while longer before you jump ship, before you switch lanes only to stay still and to stay stuck.
Let us talk about something real, something raw, something that exposes how far we have drifted from accountability. Sports betting. People place bets. They lose, and instead of accepting responsibility, they insult athletes. Imagine that. You placed the bet, you took the risk. You lost the money, and now you leave your lane to attack someone who does not even know you exist. You made the choice, you faced the outcome. But today, people want the thrill of risk without responsibility. They want the excitement of the gamble without the humility of the loss. They want to blame someone else for a decision they made with their own hands. Hear me. Staying in your lane means owning your choices, owning your mistakes, owning your consequences.
We fall into the trap, and I think everybody probably does this at least once in their life. For some people, it's a lifetime problem of trying to be something that they're not. We think that we should be like this one or like that one. We should look like you or act like you or behave like you or be able to do what you do. And not only do we think that, but a huge mistake that human beings make is they think if they're good at something, that everybody else should be good at that too. Come on now.
Hear me clearly. Do not ever expect people to do things the way you do them. I hear people say, if it were me, I would have done it like this, or like that. Come on. It is not you, and you should never treat the world like everyone is supposed to think like you, act like you, or respond the way you would. The worst part is when people try to tell you how you should act when something happens in your life, as if they're the ones living it or feeling it. So here's the line you keep in your pocket. Thank you for your opinion, but respectfully, I am not looking for advice. Say it calmly, say it clearly, and say it without guilt, because your reactions are yours, your emotions are yours, and your life is yours, and nobody gets to dictate how you should move through it. Stay in your lane. Reflect, learn, grow, but do not wander into another person's lane to cause a nuisance. Do not turn your frustration into someone else's burden. Do not turn your disappointment into punishment. Your lane, your lesson. Your responsibility. In a small Italian village, there was a man who loved fixing everyone's problems. If someone's roof leaked, he showed up uninvited. If a couple argued, he inserted himself. If a child misbehaved, he lectured the parents. He was everywhere, except where he needed to be. But one day, a storm came, and his own roof collapsed. The villagers discovered something shocking. His roof had been weak for years. He never repaired it. He was too busy repairing everyone else's. Sweep your own doorstep before you sweep your neighbor's. When you focus on others, you neglect yourself. When you fix everyone else's problems, your own life falls apart. Quietly, silently, slowly, until one day, it collapses loudly. Your life needs your attention. Your soul needs your maintenance. Stop abandoning your lane. Think about this. In our world today, comparison has become a sport. People compare careers, bodies, relationships, success, happiness, even pain. We compare everything, but comparison is the fastest way to abandon your lane. Comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison is the silent poison that kills your confidence slowly.
Comparison is the thief of joy. The worst thing you could ever do is compare your chapter 1 or chapter 2 to somebody else's chapter 20. I know this from experience. I've seen people and been the person that's looking in someone else's yard and comparing where I am in my journey. And when I tell you this is a middle finger to your life, to your God, to whatever it is that you claim, this is disrespectful to what you do have. And you will never get more until you be more right where you are. You will never attract more until you honor chapter 1, 2, 3, until you honor the sub-chapters and all of that stuff. The worst thing you could ever do is compare your journey. Stay in your lane. Do you, and do it really well.
Listen. Never judge a person until you have walked miles in their shoes. You do not know their story. They do not know yours. So why leave your lane to chase theirs? Why measure your chapter 1 against someone else's chapter 20? Why compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel? Instagram and Facebook highlight reels are not real life. What you see online is not the full story. Do not measure your life against someone else's filtered moments. They are not the same thing.
Really absorb that for a moment, because it is not always easier. And I bet if you took the time to ask your friend, your coworker, your colleague about their business that seems to be moving so rapidly, they might tell you about some hardships or some hurdles that they're actually dealing with right now that you have no idea about. Because a lot of us, we don't share every hurdle, because a lot of all we usually see is the glitz, the glamour, what's going well for them. Oh, I made a sale today, not knowing that they had to make like 500 cold calls to get that one sale. So before you judge somebody else's situation, before you think that's the next best thing, pause.
Staying in your lane does not mean ignoring injustice. It does not mean being blind to suffering. It does not mean being silent when wrong is happening. The Bible says, "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves." Buddhism teaches, if you light a lamp for someone else, it will also brighten your path. So yes, you acknowledge what is right and what is wrong. You stand for truth. You stand for justice. You stand for humanity, but you do not force your life into someone else's. You do not impose your path on another soul. You do not abandon your lane to control theirs. You intervene only when it is righteous, not when it is convenient, not when it feeds your ego, not when it gives you attention, not when it makes you feel superior. There's a difference between helping and interfering, between supporting and controlling, between guiding and invading. Wisdom is knowing the difference. The world of today is fast, loud, chaotic, opinionated, and unrestrained. Everyone is talking. Few are listening. Everyone is watching. Few are living. But the people who thrive are not the ones who shout the loudest, not the ones who jump into every argument, not the ones who chase every trend. The ones who thrive are the ones who stay grounded, focused, disciplined, aligned. They know their lane. They honor their lane. They protect their lane. So hear me, and hear me deeply. Stay in your lane, not because it is easy, not because it is comfortable, not because the world tells you to. Stay in your lane because your peace is there, your purpose is there, your clarity and your strength is there. Let people do what they need to do to make themselves happy as long as it is moral and ethical. And you, mind your business and do what you need to do to make your own life meaningful. The camel does not see the crookedness of its own neck.
So staying in your lane is keeping the focus on you, how you're feeling, noticing where your mood is, and loving and nurturing yourself. Really keeping your main concern on your own well-being, where your thinking is, and how you're feeling. So often we feel as though we want to fix and control other people in our life in order for us to feel good. What we end up doing is taking the attention away from ourselves, so we're in this place of lack, like I won't feel better until this is fixed in my life, and that ends up actually creating sort of a little bit of chaos. So when we put the focus back on ourselves, loving and nurturing ourselves, where is my focus, where is my thinking, how am I feeling? As a consequence, those other relationships in our life start to improve.
Honor your lane. Protect your peace and guard your energy. The world is noisy, but your lane is quiet. Enjoy your life. Not someday. Not eventually. Not when everything is perfect. Enjoy your life now, because this is the only one you get. Remember this always. There is only one you in the entire universe. You are the movement.